What's going on, guys? Today I want to do a video on how to spool up a spinning reel. Spinning reels can be really tricky, but I have a few tips and tricks that's going to make your life a whole lot easier when it comes to spooling up your new spinning reel. So stick with me, and I hope you like this video. This demonstration, I'm going to be spooling up a braided line. On all of my spinning reels, I love to use a braided line to a fluorocarbon leader. I just feel like I get more sensitivity, and I always use a real bright braid so that I can visually see my line, when I get a bite or something like that. So I'm going to show you how I spool up my braid first, and then how I tie a leader line. So let's get to it. So the first thing that you want to do is you can't go into putting braid straight on your reel without putting any kind of line on there first. If you just put braid on there first, that braid will end up slipping because it's so slick it has nothing to grip to. So what I like to do is, you can go to Walmart or Bass Pro or wherever that it is that you buy your tackle from and get the cheapest either monofilament or fluorocarbon. It doesn't really matter the size. I wouldn't go get anything more than 12 pound. Like today, I've got an old filler spool of 8-pound fluorocarbon that I'm going to use. And all I'm going to do is run this through the guides all the way down to my reel, tie it with your favorite knot that you would use on a bait caster to tie it to the spool. And I'm just going to fill that spool up until there's an even amount of this fluorocarbon on the base of that spool. So I'm going to do that really quick. One quick tip before I put this fluorocarbon on there: make sure when you go to tie your knot that you flip your bell open and then tie your knot to the spool. If you can see there, I flip that bell open like that, then tie your spool. Then you can flip the bell back over and you can start spooling that fluorocarbon, a mono, or whatever it is that you use. So I'm going to do that really quick. Now if you can see that, all I did was made an even run on that spool. You don't have to put a bunch, you just want to get even coverage so that braid has something to tighten down to. Okay, so now that you've put your filler line on the spinning reel, now you need to attach the braid. And the knot that I like to use for this is an Alberto knot. So I'm going to quickly do a little demonstration on how you tie the Alberto knot. So you take your fluorocarbon side, because this is your technically the main line, if you would, and make a loop just like that. Then you take your braid and you go right inside that loop and give you a little bit of slack, and then hold that loop and that line with your left hand, and you make 6 wraps down your fluorocarbon side. And this is a little bit tricky with the smaller diameter line, so it may take you a couple tries, but just practice it and I promise that you'll get better. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'll go 7 just cause. So once you've done that, what I'll do is I'll pinch it on this end, and you want to wrap 6 or 7 times back the other way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then you need to look at whichever side that this main line is coming out of that loop. That's exactly what side you need to put this tag in through. So it's coming, so you can see this braid is coming from the bottom out of this loop. So I'm gonna go in with this tag in from the bottom out, just like so. So now both of these are coming out of that loop on the same side. Then you're gonna wet it and just pull it tight. That knot will cinch up really, really small. Go through guides really easy. And you just cut your tag ends. Now you have a completed Alberto knot. Okay, so now you should have your filler line on the spool, then tied to your braided line. So now we're going to spool up the braid onto the spool. This is where it can get tricky, and I didn't show it when we were doing the filler spool, just because it's fluorocarbon, it's a little bit harder to see. You got two options to the way I like to put on braided line. One is you can lay this on the floor and try to spool it up that way, but it likes to move around on you and flip over, and it just gets aggravating. If you're gonna do it that way, you have to make sure that whichever direction, when you look at the face of your spinning reel, whichever way it's spinning when you reel it, you need this line to come off the opposite way to eliminate line twist. If you have line twist and braided line, it won't cast good. It's gonna get knots and get all tangled up, and it's just gonna be a mess. So you can do it that way, lay it on the floor, but like I said, every now and again it likes to catch on the spool and just start going everywhere. So the way I like to do it is since this is a left-handed reel, I will actually take this spool with the line coming off the bottom. I'll hold it in my right hand and I'll put tension on it as I'm holding the reel and the rod. If you can see that, all I'm doing is pinching this spool and putting tension on it just like that. But you have to make sure the line is coming off the bottom. This will also eliminate your line twist as long as you keep tension and it's coming off the bottom. Then all I'm going to do is start reeling. Just like that. Keep constant tension and keep reeling at a decent speed, and everything will go great. So I'm going to spool this up real quick. Real quick before I get done, on your spinning reels, you're going to have a little lip at the end of that spool. That's your mark on how much line that can hold. And I always like to be, I'd say, 1/8 of an inch or so just below that. But make sure you fill these things up, because if you fill them only halfway, you're going to lose casting distance. The gear ratio is going to be affected. The reel is meant to perform at full capacity. So like I said, go just below that little. Each reel is going to be different, but there'll be some sort of line indicator on the top end of that spool that lets you know when you get full. So now you should be just about done. You should have all your braid on your reel. The last thing to do is pick whatever size fluorocarbon leader that you're going to go with. I'm going to be putting on 8 pound, but the only thing you have left to do is use that same Alberto knot I showed you earlier. to connect to your main line, and you're ready to go. Thanks for watching this video. I hope it helps you guys out when you're spooling up your new spinning reels. Like this video, subscribe, and drop a comment on some other video ideas that I can do. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next one.